Howdy, folks. I'm four carefree calling birds, cheerily chirping calming carols.
I'm Amber.
And here are more calming carols for us to chirp. Amber, I want you to share with the good folks in their homes the fact that you told me about these so-called calling birds.
Yes, so in a earlier version of the 12 Days of Christmas song, they were collie birds, which means blackbirds.
Yes. So not only are blackbirds baked into pies, but they are also great gifts. I guess. That's the moral of today's story. Thanks so much for watching. And Amber has even more facts about the song for us during tea time. So let's get started. Alright folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Refusing to Pay for the Wedding Costs That My Ex-Boyfriend Incurred for His Planned Wedding? I'm a 27-year-old female, and I've been in a relationship with my boyfriend, now ex-boyfriend, a 27-year-old male, for 5.5 years. We originally were from country X, but moved to country Y about 3 years ago. Despite my boyfriend having a bit of a nasty temper, he treated me well overall. We met in college, and during a challenging time, I supported him financially and tutored him for free. After college, I helped him land a great job. When I got a job in Y country 3 years ago, I assisted him in finding a job there and even covered his flight tickets. I've even met his parents a few times and they seemed like nice people. Fast forward to 6 months ago, a random girl, a 27-year-old female, contacted me on Facebook, introducing herself as my boyfriend's girlfriend. She's in X country, planning an online surprise birthday party for him. Apparently, he told her that I was his close friend, so she wanted to invite me too. Here is where the part that I might be the jerk begins. I continued the conversation with her like everything was alright, so that I would gather as much information from her as possible. She and my boyfriend had been dating for 8 years, 5.5 years of overlap with my relationship. And they had set a date for their wedding in 6 months. I felt blindsided, livid, and I was utterly depressed, so I confronted my boyfriend about this. And he didn't even bother to hide the truth. He said that he had no choice but to be loyal to her because she's the one that he met first, and everything was planned for the wedding. I asked him what would become of me and why he did this to me, but all he said was that these things happen. He would continue his relationship with me even after his marriage, and that I should just get over it since he was apparently doing this huge favor for me. Oh, just these things happen. I just accidentally cheated for the last 5.5 years. No big deal. So I spent the next few days pretending like everything was okay. We didn't meet in person, so it was easier just to pretend. Meanwhile, I documented pictures, screenshot, chats of everything that we did during our 5.5 year relationship and made them into a folder. I then contacted his other girlfriend and sent her all of the proof. She initially thought that I was lying, but after going through the evidence, she contacted me again to apologize. She also provided me proof of the relationship. To our disgust, we discovered that he had been giving us the exact same things for our birthdays, anniversaries, etc. with identical pickup lines, identical messages on some days. Prior to moving to Y country, there has even been days when he spent the morning with her and the afternoon with me, and vice versa. Anyways, she broke the wedding off, and now my ex-boyfriend is demanding that I reimburse him for all of the money that he spent on the wedding planning, approximately $6,000 USD. Because I ruined both his wedding and his life. I have refused to pay him and also cut off contact with him, but he reaches out using new numbers and sends messages demanding compensation. Alright folks, what do you think of this one?
Not the jerk. This guy is just so sleazy on so many levels, and the only one who ruined his life is him.
Yeah, I mean, I can't understand how he managed to hide this so well for the last 5.5 years.
I mean, it always amazes me. The people who actually manage to have double lives, it's like, how do you have the time?
Well, apparently he has the time, and he managed to cut down a lot of effort by just buying them the exact same things, probably even called them the exact same like pet name or something like that.
Right, that way he can't slip up. Like, it's actually kind of clever that he would use the exact same lines on them, give them the exact same gifts. Then he doesn't have to remember as much because
Yeah.
it's identical.
Exactly. So this guy is just a real piece of work, and he deserves to have his life ruined, and he deserves to have any future girlfriends know about his history here. I don't know. This is just such a sleazy thing. I don't even know what to say about poor OP. Imagine just like finding out your life is just completely like upheaved, like torn asunder.
Well, the audacity of being like, I'm dating you, me dating you is a favor to you.
Yeah, imagine then for her to break up with him, how much of a favor it is. Don't worry, she's doing you a favor by breaking up with you. I don't know. I feel bad for OP. I don't know if there was anything that OP could have done differently here.
No, I mean, I think OP handled it great, and if he keeps like harassing you, you might like consider documenting it, and if reporting it to the police is something safe to do, you might want to just like, potentially if you think you need a restraining order or something, because if he does have anger issues, he might be prone to violence if he doesn't get his money and whatnot.
Yeah. I just realized something. I am missing a hat. So, how many presents is he getting this year?
Negative presents.
No presents. Let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck, OP. And Quay Mashi says, not the jerk. It's not your fault that he's a cheater. I don't know what he was thinking about having a wife and a side girlfriend. But if he told his future wife about you openly, he should have thought that you can communicate and connect the dots, not the sharpest tool in the shed. He ruined his own life, but also hers and yours. I'm guessing that something came out accidentally. Like she probably saw a picture of them together or something like that. He wasn't quite as careful as he thought he was. And she's like, oh, who's this girl? And he's like, oh, she's my best friend who's helped me out in the States. And Van Riel says, I cannot believe the nerve of him saying that their relationship can still continue the same way after he and his other girl got married. I mean, how do you even remotely think that that is fine? You don't. And Fragrant Economist says, not the jerk. So he wants to be reimbursed for his wasted wedding planning, does he? I could say a few choice things about that, but that would end up getting me banned. I think that you should send him a bill for everything that you have given him over the years and sue him for breach of promise. Let's see how he likes them apples. And Bulky Caterpillar 4240 says this 100%. I don't know if you could do that.
Yeah.
But it would be nice if you could. Alright folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Wanting to Be Back in Our Daughter's Life? My wife and I have 2 kids, a 17-year-old male and a 16-year-old female. Our daughter was diagnosed with autism when she was 2 years old. When we found out, my wife was crying for a week, and after that, she told me that she has decided that she can't go through this. She can't raise an autistic child, and asked me to take her away. I tried to convince her to keep the child, but she threatened that she wouldn't feed her from now on or care for her in any ways. She was a stay-at-home mom, and I was a breadwinner. So I had no choice but to leave her with my dad, an 81-year-old male. My dad also was raising my half-brother, a 21-year-old male. After a few months, my wife and dad had a huge fight over some stuff, and we pretty much didn't have any contact with them because of this. A few weeks ago, I found my daughter's Instagram page. We haven't seen her in about 13 years. She was a beautiful girl, and she looked very happy and normal. My wife and I decided to contact my dad and see if we can meet our daughter. We know that what we did was wrong, and we don't expect forgiveness. We are just hoping to get to know her and be part of her life. My dad was indifferent and said that we can visit them and see her. When we went there, my brother was the one who opened the door. He was screaming at us for about an hour, calling us jerks and different names, and told us to get out of his house, and asking us how dare we come back after all of this. He screamed at us that while we were enjoying our lives, and our dad didn't care enough to raise our child, he was the one who had to care for her. He said that he loves her more than anything, and he will never forgive us for making him become a parent at such a young age. I tried to ask him what we can do to make it better, but he was too busy yelling to listen to me. We had to leave, but yesterday we decided that in order to make things right, we would pay for a year of his college, but he didn't accept it and is refusing to let us meet our daughter. And apparently our daughter listens to everything that he says and won't meet us without his permission. All right, folks, what do you think of this one?
I think OP is a huge jerk. I mean, I know he says, I couldn't have done anything differently. You could have divorced your wife. Like, what she did is horrible and unforgivable. And you going along with it is horrible and unforgivable. Like, you had a child. When you have a child, you have to accept that your child may have disabilities, and to throw away a child because she has an autism diagnosis is just so gross. Like, it seems like it wasn't even a matter of, oh, we can't financially afford the care because she has intensive needs. It was, oh, we have a diagnosis and I don't like this name, so I'm going to throw away this child. And now that she looks quote unquote normal, you're like, oh, maybe I made a mistake. I want to go meet the normal kid now that all the hard work of raising her has been done.
So I think that this is a really difficult situation. And I think that under certain circumstances, if you don't feel like you can be a fit parent, then allowing the child to go into someone else's care is probably the best thing that you can do. And certainly that isn't going to be forgivable for what they did, right, in this particular case, because it seems more like it wasn't a matter of resources, like what you're saying. It was more of a matter of preference. They could have taken care of her, but they chose that not to because they thought that this was going to be too hard. So they dropped this off on an 81-year-old who was probably going to have even harder time taking care of them. I guess not 81 at the time, right?
No, but he was in his 60s, and so the half brother was 7, and it sounds like they left her to be raised by a 7-year-old.
Yeah. Well, and this kind of brings me to the point that this grandfather character, the father character, he's not a good person either, right? He parentified this other child, and I can't blame them for being resentful over the parentification, but there are a couple of villains here in the way I'm seeing it. I don't think that OP is purely the only people who are in the wrong.
Well, no, but also he couldn't be bothered to check up and make sure that she was in a safe environment. I mean, she was being raised by a 7-year-old.
Yeah. Well, and that's it, is that there was a lot that went wrong here. The 7-year-old, they clearly have a lot of resentment for the situation, and I can certainly understand them feeling overwhelmed by taking care of this child, right? That certainly was not a fair deal in life, right? So I think that there's a lot wrong here. I feel bad for the daughter who was pushed around, and certainly like she now has to kind of have this additional emotional stress of the parents coming back into their lives. And maybe if they had checked on her and been, worked with her throughout the years or paid, child support or something like that, there might be some level of repair that they could do to this relationship, but I just don't know if there is any repair they can do to the relationship.
No, and I don't think they deserve it either. Like, what they made a choice, and now they have to live with the consequences of their actions. They chose to abandon her because they were afraid of the autism boogeyman.
Yeah.
And there's so many misconceptions out there about what autism is and what it's like, and there are so many different ways to be autistic, and like, they're just like, oh, she has this diagnosis, I'm just done with her. She's not worthy of us.
Yeah, which I think is a horrible thing to have done to a child. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Ed Liv says, you're the jerk. Your wife is a monster, and you're just as bad, and you went right along with her BS. Leave your brother alone, and you're not worthy of having a minute of your daughter's time. Comfortable Focus 123 says, you're the jerk. You have not seen your progeny. She certainly is not your daughter in 13 years. And now that she is thriving and is very normal, you want back in. Think about that again, 13 years. And you're sad that you got berated for an hour. So sorry for you. Sarcasm. It's not really your decision if you get back into her life. It's hers. You are extremely selfish people and need to realize that. 13 years. And, I do actually want to point out one more thing that I think that kind of makes them vilified in this situation. What happens if they had seen her Instagram and she hadn't been normal?
Oh, they wouldn't have reached out. Clearly, it's because she looks neurotypical enough. She seems like what their idea of what a child should be like.
Mm-hmm. And I think the measure here. This wasn't something that they seem to have like regretted for years and years and years, and it finally like boiled over, and they're just like deeply apologetic for what they did. They saw her and said, "Oh, she's normal now. Why don't we go talk to her and see how she is?"
Right, and they're feeling remorse because, oh, she may have been normal enough for us to raise,
Yeah.
which is just really gross and ableist.
Oh, and I don't know if I mentioned this or not, but OP and his wife, they're getting 0 presents. None. Nothing under the tree. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here. And Amber, she has a joke.
Why did Dr. Frankenstein put a rubber band in his monster's brain?
I can tell you exactly why Dr. Frankenstein put a rubber band in his monster's brain. It's because he's just a plain weirdo. Like, this is, you go along with sewing people together, making these monstrosities, and what, a rubber band in the brain? That's going to make the difference? No, it doesn't make any difference at all. I mean, the guy literally sewed Frankenstein together by parts, and we're just going to be like, rubber band in the brain. He did it because he was probably like a ridiculous doctor who thought that maybe squeezing the brain more might give him more brain juice. I don't know.
He wanted it to make snap decisions.
Snap decisions? I don't buy it, Jovial Bobstein. I don't buy it at all. None. 0. 0 gifts for you again, Jovial Bobstein. And I have Earl Grey. Oh, and Amber wanted to share with us some facts. Facts about the song.
Yes, so back to the 12 Days of Christmas. I also read, and again, I'm reading articles on Medium, so, take with a grain of salt, but I read that the song may have originally been developed as sort of a game. So you try to recite from memory as many of them as you could, and if you messed up, you'd have to pay a forfeit, which was like a kiss, or you'd have to do something silly, like kind of like Truth or Dare type of things, so.
That's right, folks. Reclaim the song. Make sure to find people who don't know all of the different things in the song, because then you'll be able to profit off of Christmas. That's some good advice, Amber. Thank you for sharing that.
Not advice, it was just...
I'm just kidding. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Wednesday, Hump Day, Friday, Junior's Eve. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance, and please have it involve 4 collie birds.
With a boyfriend like OP's in the first story, they might as well just buy themselves some collie birds, and they're going to be so much cheaper and not horrible to OP, so...
That's right, folks. The moral of this story today is buy everyone you know 4 collie birds.
No, that's not...
Including your exes.
No, that's not the moral. Is just like any companionship that is not a horrible cheater and aggressive person is better.
Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.